For more anatomy-related videos, please subscribe to my channel, Learn with Dr. Tanya Hashik.
Hello, this is me, Dr. Tanya Hashik. Today's topic of discussion is hormonal involvement in menstrual cycle. So today we will discuss about the hormonal involvement in the uterine cycle as well as the ovarian cycle. That is, certain hormones are involved in the ovarian as well as the uterine cycle. So these are responsible for the changes, that is the cyclical changes that occurs in the ovary as well as the uterus. So today we will discuss more about it. The hypothalamus, which is located just below the brain, it controls the reproductive cycle in a human being. So the hypothalamus, it secretes a hormone, that is the GnRH, that is the gonadotropic releasing hormone. So the GnRH, it reaches the anterior pituitary gland and it stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete the gonadotrophic hormones. So the gonadotrophic hormones, they are the FSH and LH. So FSH and LH, it reaches the ovary and this results in the cyclical changes that occurs in the ovary during the 28-day cycle. In the previous class, we have already discussed that the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle, it occurs parallelly. So one occurs in the ovary and the other in the uterus. So based on the ovarian cycle, the uterine cycle can be divided into two phases. That is the follicular phase, during which the growing follicle, it secretes a hormone estrogen and this results in proliferation of the endometrium, and the second half of the cycle, during which the corpus luteum, it secretes progestrone, which maintains the endometrium. So based on the ovarian cycle, the uterine cycle can be divided into follicular phase and a luteal phase. So in this figure, you can see various stages of the follicle in the follicular phase. That is the primordial follicle, it finally becomes the Graafian follicle, and after which the ovulation occurs, and during the luteal phase the corpus luteum is formed, and finally the degeneration of corpus luteum occurs. So this is the first picture, and next is the graphical representation of the various hormones involved in the cycle. That is the FSH, I have marked with blue, LH with red, estrogen with green, and progesterone with violet. And next is the endometrium, that is the changes that occurs in the uterus. So first there is shedding of endometrium, next is the post-menstrual phase, and again the proliferation occurs, and finally secretory phase of the endometrium, and after which the next cycle starts. So during the first phase of the menstrual cycle, that is during the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle, the GnRH, that is the gonadotropin releasing hormone, it stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete follicular stimulating hormone. So in the ovary, the FSH, it results in the maturation of the follicles, that is the ovarian follicles, primordial follicle, primary follicle, it starts to mature. So here in this graph you can see that FSH, it is slowly rising. That is, due to the FSH, the primordial follicles starts to mature, and these follicles, it secretes estrogen. So these follicles, it starts to secrete estrogen. So you can see in this graph the estrogen level is also slowly rising. So the rising estrogen, it results in the proliferation of the endometrium. So you can see when the follicle, it starts to release estrogen, it results in the proliferation of the endometrium. So just prior to ovulation, the estrogen, it reaches the peak level. As the estrogen, it reaches the peak level, it results in an LH surge, that is luteinizing hormone, it also increases suddenly. And this sudden surge of LH results in ovulation, and it results in the rupture of the Graafian follicle and the ovum is released. So this is the things that happen in the first phase of the cycle. So during the second phase of the cycle, the ruptured follicle, it starts from the corpus luteum. And the luteinizing hormone, it stimulates the corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. So this progesterone maintains the endometrium wall. That is, it results in the complete growth of the uterine glands, and uterine gland, it starts to secrete mucus, and the spiral arteries, it is also completely formed. So this is the secretory phase of the endometrium. So progesterone, it maintains the endometrium. So in absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum, it produces a hormone that is inhibin, and this inhibin, it inhibits the gonadotrophic hormones, that is the FSH and LH. So the sudden withdrawal of these hormones, it results in the regression of corpus luteum. That is, the corpus luteum, it undergoes degeneration. And as a result, there is sudden withdrawal of progesterone. And this results in the shedding of endometrium. So, in the absence of the fertilization, the corpus luteum, it secretes a hormone that is inhibin, and this inhibin, it inhibits the gonadotrophic hormones, that is FSH and LH, and due to its withdrawal, it results in the regression or the degeneration of the corpus luteum, and this results in sudden withdrawal of progesterone, and this results in the shedding of endometrium. So, in the second phase of the cycle, you can see that the progesterone level is high. That is, the corpus luteum, it secretes progesterone. So, the progesterone level is high. And in the same time, the corpus luteum, it also secretes estrogen. So, there is some quantity of estrogen too. And the level of FSH and LH, it is very low in the second phase of the cycle. So, in the first phase of the cycle, the level of estrogen is high, and in the second phase of the cycle, the level of progesterone is high. So, these are the hormones that are involved in the menstrual cycle. So, this is the end of today's video.
This is the end of today's video. For more videos, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.